everybody, Tim here from Workshop 12, and in this video we're going to talk about how to stop your lava connector from draining your battery of your tablet. So one of the things that we keep finding as we're going through this, we're learning more and more as we go, and certain things that are advertised as they are don't necessarily come out the way that they're advertised. And so we're constantly finding better ways to improve things. So in our last video we talked about being able to do some improvements with our ground wire. In this video we're going to talk a little bit about how the lava connector works and why it might be draining your battery. So we're going to take a look over here at our standard lava connector. So this is a LAVA Simulcharge. The point of being able to use one of these is being able to run charge in here. This port goes to your tablet and this goes out to any kind of USB accessory that you want. So the idea of this smart little connector is allows you to charge your tablet at the same time that you're using USB accessories. So you might have a little USB hub, you might have an Apple CarPlay dongle, you might have different things that you're using off of that. So before we even came out with the Mark I electronics, we were suggesting people to use this device to be able to use accessories along with your charge. Now, what we've come across is we found that what's happening inside this little unit is that when it's plugged in here and I plug in my accessory, is that when it doesn't have a charge, meaning this is coming and charging from your actual car itself, providing power into it, is that it is drawing power coming from your tablet to be able to run any of your different USB accessories. So it's working as a standard, what they call an on-the-go cable or OTG cable. So it's taking battery power from the tablet and it's going out and it's charging everything that you have on your hub. So the problem here is even when this device goes into sleep mode, what's going to happen is it's still pulling that power even though it's in sleep. And the reason why they do that while it's in power is that maybe you had a keyboard or a mouse hooked up to this, and whenever you move or use your keyboard, you want your device to be able to come on. So that's how it's been designed. However, using that inside of a car, it really kind of sucks because now you've got your charge that's off to your tablet and it's draining power to accessories that you're not using because your accessory power is not on in your car. So what we're going to go over today is how we're able to update and modify this little connector so that it will provide all the functionality that we want, but will not charge or will not provide power to an accessory when the car is turned off. Now, this little unit is there's got little bits of glue inside of it to hold it all together. So what you're going to need is you're going to need a few different tools to be able to bring this apart and make the changes. Really, the only two that you need is you're going to need some little side cutters, some snips with a little sharp point at the end, and we'll talk about why we need that, and probably some just little needle nose pliers, and we're actually going to use them in the opposite direction. And when you're all done, a little bit of super glue just to put the case back on here. So our first task that we need to do for this is we need to pop this case open. And what I found works really well is being able to use some needle nose pliers and basically putting them in the opening at one of the corners here and just slide them in so that they're on the plastic and then pull gently apart. Oh, there it goes, it popped. So when it pops, it's going to pop free one of the different sides, and then you can actually do it on the other side as well. So I'll just apply some gentle pressure and it pops again, and now we've got the sides that come across, and then I can just peel and pull it back. So we can see here that they had these little posts that had the glue on them, and you can see that those little posts go down in essentially each one of these different little corners. Now, depending on yours, it might actually be free and loose. This one's actually kind of loose to be able to pop out. If not, the only reason why you need something that's kind of small and proby is that you might need to get in underneath the board just to pop it up so you can get it. And some of those little pins hold on, so you might need to put it into the side over here and just kind of pry it up so it comes off those little pins. And then you've got your board out. Now, what I do for being able to assemble this back again, make it simple, is I use my little cutters, and all those little posts that are in the corner, I just clip them. Because then you don't have to line anything back up when it goes back in, and everything goes back in nice and snug anyways. So that's got our case apart, and we're just going to set that aside. Now, the culprit that is in here is this little chip right here. And this little chip, all we need to do is clip this pin. Now, don't worry if you clip this pin over here as well, it's not going to make any difference, but this one here, if we clip it, it will put everything back to what we want to do. So we want to be nice and gentle in here. It doesn't take a lot of pressure. We're just going to take our snips and we're going to put it on that pin and we're going to squeeze. And all there has to be is just a separation of that pin so that there's a gap between the bottom and the top. And as long as there's a gap in there, then it's good to go. So now we can see what actually happens with this. If I now take my connector and I push it in here, it's fine. It thinks originally that it's charging, but it's not. If I put in my USB accessory in the other side, I can now see that I'm not lighting it up. It's not lit up. I don't see my USB card in here on my files, but then when I provide charge to it, it's now going to charge the tablet. It's now providing power out here to the little hub and with the little stick itself. And then that's going to be able to see that that USB accessory is back onto the device here. So if I unplug, it's simulating not getting any more connection to it. If I plug it back in, it's like, all right, my car key is going on and off with the car, and I want to get my charge back on here as well. So in this case, I'm just going to disconnect this because I've been using this for testing. I'll just pop them back on and we'll see everything work again. So here we see we've got our USB storage from our key. So I can go in and see anything that's on my USB key, right? And then I've also got my charge up here in the top corner. We can see that it's actually charging at the same time. So this is just an example. Turn the key off, everything disconnects, no light, no power going to the accessories, no more charge. Turn my key back on, and it's going to now be able to see that that charge is going to come in. I can see my USB just get picked up here, and then my charge is going to kick in as well. So that is the simple little fix that you need to be able to do to be able to have this stop draining your battery. So we've heard reports of people using these different devices taking possibly 15% of their battery down overnight versus just dropping 1% of things being not used for the day. But that's something that will actually fix that. And so of course we rely on these in our Mark 1 electronics as well. So if you received a Mark 1 electronics, there will be on the paper whether or not there's been a LAVA connector that's been fixed on it, or you're going to have to kind of do this little fix yourself to be able to stop that drain. So, and we'll show you how to do that as well. But literally all I have left now to do is just put it back into its original case. And then I usually just take a little bit of super glue on both my sides and then just press down my connector box on top. Put a little pressure on it and let it dry and you're good to go. Okay, so that's how you modify the little LAVA connector. Like I said, we have all sorts of people that were using our kits way before we actually had our Mark 1 electronics, using that LAVA connector to be able to use all sorts of different accessories. So what we're going to show you now is that we have one of those in our Mark 1 electronics kit. We include that in as part of the everything to be able to plug and play. So we'll show you where to get access to that in your kit to be able to make that little clip connection. So the Simulcharge is actually in this little box. We just have some little Robert screws on it here, so we just can back those out. Oh, lovely, nice tight fit. So back out both of these screws. And inside this little box, you'll see that we've got a way of being able to tuck all the different connectors together to make everything work in with the hub. So literally all you have to do is pull this out, disconnect your cable from the top, from the bottom, and the side, and that gets you your LAVA connector out. You can do the repair that we just went through. Once you're done and everything's glued back together, then you can simply just pop it back in, bottom, side, and the top, and then just put it back in the same little guides that were down inside of the box. Press everything in place, put your lid back on, and put your screws back in. So that's it. So that's how you're able to repair that lava connector. That's something that unfortunately we weren't able to catch before we actually sent out some of the first kits that were out there. Any new kits that are coming through, we've got a whole rack if we take a look over on this side here, we've got a whole rack of lava connectors that we've already made the changes for, and everything in the new kits will have those in them. But for the ones that went out, you're probably going to have to be able to make that change. If you do have any issues or questions along that lines, please do contact us. We'll help you and walk you through that different process if the video doesn't give you all the instructions that you need. But that is really going to help your battery life inside of your car. The other things that we are working on, and we have actually in beta and a couple people testing them out, is some other power saving things that we put into the software. So our software in the next version 3.8 is actually detecting when that accessory power is coming on and off inside of the car, and when it does, if your Wi-Fi or your Bluetooth is active, we shut those down, and if we get power back, we turn them back on again. So that Bluetooth and that Wi-Fi are other things that are battery drainers when your car sits for a while, so being able to have those turned off definitely helps save battery as well. So these are a couple good battery saving tips. Now we've got it all built into the Mark I electronics, or if you're doing your own installation not using our electronics and using a lava connector, you know how to be able to make that modification. So it's going to get you with a much better experience for your tablet discharging when it's not in use. So thanks a lot for joining, and hope we see you again in other videos.